Okay, excellent. So you want to come into, if you haven't created a template yet, I recommend you do, but let me walk you through it by creating one, right? As you can see, what I have here, I have, G car, you know, also have the one from Maryland, MAR, Maryland Association of Realtors, whether it's
Hmm.
for sellers or for buyers. Um, I'm assuming you know how to create your template, right?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so you can just come in and create a template. When say you want a buyer, you just go
Mhm.
to next. You can just say um, MAR buyer, you know. So that means you're only going to be using the Maryland Association of Realtors forms, right?
Hmm.
Then you can just go and click that so it shows you just those forms. Um, I'm almost certain that I have everything listed here. But the most important thing that I want to make sure you have, let me type this in if it's not there, checklist. Let me see if I have, no, there's no checklist in here. Okay, that might mean I probably don't even have one. But I can always upload one, right? Which means if I do that, I have to go to a totally different, which I can do on this computer. But in any case, I'm gonna email you the checklist that you need. Okay,
Okay.
because that checklist allows you to be able to go in and see what forms you're missing. But I can just tell you right now, for every form, we can go through it right here right now for all the forms that you're gonna need to have included in there. Um, put your as is addendum in there in case you're doing an as is deal, so you want to include that. Um, we're going to do we're just going to strictly take the ones that you need. Now you see here it says condominium resale acknowledgement.
Hmm.
You don't necessarily need that because all of these disclosure forms the listing agent should give you those
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's a condo. So yeah, you're gonna find all those in their disclosures. So you don't need that part. You don't need
Okay.
any of this condo resale notice. You don't need any of that. I'll add. This is just. Oh gosh, that wasn't
And I
right.
already have the consent for dual because I did it in the agency agreement.
Okay,
I
perfect.
already got her to sign it.
Good. So, but for the purpose of just putting your template together, we want to just add this thing. So you're gonna need
Okay.
that and you can just easily access this every single time and just go in there and pick that template for any offer that you need. So that's where I have all mine set up, as you can see before. So I don't have to start looking for these forms anytime I need to write an offer. I'll even include, because whether it's an FHA or not, just include the conventional financing on there in your template so you can
Hmm.
always go to it if you need it. So this will be the forms that you need. Disclosure of information on lead. You don't need that because that should have come with the disclosures from the listing
Hmm.
agent, right? So
Hmm.
you need the escrow agreement. You need your representation, your exclusive tenant agreement, right?
Hmm.
You need that. You would have had this before you get to this point of writing an offer, but you want to put that as part of your template. Um, let's include the FHA in case you need it. If your
Hmm.
client is that, include your first time home buyer, include
Hmm.
your get a home inspection. Um, Inclusion and exclusions, all those will come from them, so you don't need that. You don't need that. None of this, you don't need the HOA Act, that will also come from them. You don't need that, that comes from them. You're going to your property inspections addendum, PIA, you need that.
Yep.
You're going to need if you're doing an inspections, which most of the time you will, you need a PIA, property inspections addendum. If you do that and your offer is contingent upon that and there's a repair that needs to be done, you're going to your property inspection notice. So include that on there. I'm assuming that you're not going to do any escalation in this market, but if you feel that you will, you can include that in your template.
Okay.
Um, you're going to include your residential contract of sale. Um, you don't need the disclosure because that will come as part of your disclosures. And if you're asking for money, you include that in this market. You probably will not, so you don't need that, but we'll include that just for the sake of this. If it's a short sale deal, you can include this. Again, that will come from them, so you don't need that. And that is almost about everything we need. Oh, sorry, in the understanding, you need that. And I'm gonna just put a VA on there in case you were doing one of those. So that's it. So those are all the stuff that you're gonna need in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do all your preparation in here, but for the sake of what we're just doing, so those are all your forms, then you save that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let me look in here because I may have the checklist in this template. Oh, no, I don't have it in this template. I know that for a fact. I don't have it. But okay, so that's all you need. Now, in writing your offer, the forms that you're going to need to send with your offer will be your residential contract of sale. That has to go with your offer. You're going to need your first time home buyer in this case because you have that. You may or may you. I normally don't use the first time home buyer addendum at all because in your contract, if you look on your residential
Right.
contract
You
of
can just
sale,
check the box.
you just check that box, so you don't need that. And then you can always where it comes to your how are they doing the split, you can do you can write as a 50-50 split, you
Okay.
know. You can, yeah, so so I don't necessarily use that at all. So that's all you're gonna need. So you're gonna need your contract, your residential contract of sale. You're gonna need, if your offer is contingent on a home inspection, you're going to need your property inspection addendum. Okay, so you're going to list the things that you were trying to, to do, right? So you can see over here, right? So you're going
Mm-hmm.
to put on there typically 5 days or 7 days is what you want to put on there as what you want to do, and you're doing structural. Um, if there's any sign of mold, you do this. But if not, which probably will not be, typically all you're going to be doing will be your structural for inspection. Um, if we're talking about a property that, if it was a single family home, you probably may need to do radon. You might want to select that you want to do radon as well. If there's a chimney in there, and if that's a responsibility, because again, this is a condo, right?
Mm-hmm.
The chimney will probably be the responsibility of your buyer. So if he wants to do an, inspect the chimney, you include that. Um, if they want to inspect for lead, you include that. If they're not doing any of those, you don't need to select any of those. One thing real quick to just remind you of here is this. If you see where it says buyer's general right to terminate,
Mm-hmm.
if your buyer's initials here and you submit your offer and they never initial here, it's only one party agreeing to it. So it's it doesn't matter. As you can see, what he wrote over here. It says it shall not apply unless it's initialed by both.
Okay.
So that's just one thing to be
So if
aware.
it's not initialed by both, it's basically saying they're not,
They're not
it's not,
agreeing to that. Yeah,
okay.
they're not agreeing to that. And what they'll probably do is probably just going to come back to you and they might just cross it out. The technicalities in that, in this area, if the other party does not initiate it and if they do not cross it out, there's some technicalities to that. So just be aware of it, of that area. It's one of those areas that people get hung up on, because you might think, yeah, just be aware of that. It
Like
says
we're intending to put a contract out there with an inspection contingency, but if it's not signed by both, then it's not agreed to.
correct.
Yep. Okay.
And
Got it.
it's like it says there, it says if it's initial only by the buyer, there is no binding contract to have been formed between both parties.
Okay.
So yeah. So what is the solution to that? What I normally do is I don't even initial anything over here at all. I just skip it. I don't touch this in this box. I just go ahead. Okay, we're doing an inspection. We're not waiving it, But by not doing that, I still have section C here that gives me the right to still terminate the contract because my client initials here. So in a situation where you're negotiating, you have a lot of other offers that you might be dealing with, it might be best don't even bother here. don't even bother doing anything because later down the road there could be a complication, and if your seller did not sign that, you guys get into a gray area. So remove that by not even worrying about it. It will still be protected, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. So you include the PIA if you're doing that your residential contract. You're gonna include whatever type of financing you're doing. So you want to make sure that you include that. Um, what else do you want to include in there?
Because it's
Oh,
FHA, it has to have a termite inspection. So is that in the other box?
so for your termite. So
Yeah.
no, it's that's just automatically assumed anyways. So you
Oh,
don't
okay.
need because you don't need a termite addendum. You don't need one for that purpose. You don't need
Yeah, I
one.
was just wondering, it has you check off all the other inspections you're gonna do, but it doesn't have termite in
Right,
the
that's what I'm
contract.
saying. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
that's what we don't have to worry about. This is what you do
okay.
need to be concerned about, though. Let's see, did I put an FHA addendum in this one? So here you
Yeah, it's
go.
there.
So now look at your FHA addendum. So you put all your terms here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna put over here and say he has to appraise for whatever it is that you
Okay.
guys are agreeing to. But look at line 6. In all transactions involving FHA financing, fences, outbuildings shall be included in the inspection and certification. So this is why you don't need an additional addendum for that purpose
Okay.
because it's automatic. You're doing FHA, it's automatic. You're doing VA, it's automatic. So you don't have to worry about even having to remember that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, on your FHA addendum, fill this out as best as you can. If you don't know what the mortgage insurance premium is, which you can easily find out, you can just use it. You can use an approximate of 3 to 5 or 3 to 6%, of whatever they're buying. You can use that and put it on there, or you can just ask the lender, or if you don't know, just put TBD there. Okay.
Okay.
Know what the base loan amount is. If they're doing a 3% down,
Yeah.
yeah, then that's what you do. Just take 3% of whatever that loan is an assumed number, is an approximate number, put it that way. Because that could change. So if you're not definitely your client is doing a 3% FHA loan on a $300,000 deal, so you know that they put in $9,000 down, right? So
Mhm.
the base loan amount will be $291,000. You can just put that on there
Yeah.
for your
Yeah. I
3%.
have all the loan details
Right.
from the lender, so I'm
Right.
I'm good.
So put your interest rate in there if you know if it's already agreed on to, or even if it's, let's say, it's already locked in. If you're not sure and your buyer is not sure because they don't know they either don't remember and you don't know the conversation they have with their lender, then
Mhm.
the best thing to do is just put on there TBD. So
Okay.
that way, nobody's confused about anything. Your buyer doesn't call you and say, "Why did you put, you know,
Right.
3% in there when they told me it's 4%?" Or why is my interest rate 7% when I know, all those kind of things. Avoid it if you don't know it, and nobody needs to get hung up on that because they may not already, have logged that in. Plus, what if you put on there 4% and then all of a sudden they don't close on time or something happens and the rate goes to 4.5? The
Right.
buyer could tell you, or the listener could say, "Well, is that going to change everything?" And then you start going back to try and negotiate stuff. So avoid it. If it's a situation where everybody is a stickler, just put TBD on there. But your loan program typically should be a 30-year fixed. Your
Mhm.
term of loan should be 30 years. On the lender fees, origination fees, I always do 0%, again, because I'm not privy to that conversation. Then you go over here, you put whatever you believe, whatever you're offering for that property is what you want to put on there, that the property must not appraise less
Yeah.
than. Then you continue, and the initial there. Lender repair fees in this market, I typically do 500. In the old market, $1,000. What that means though is this: you're basically saying that if the lender requires any kind of repair, the seller is responsible to do that repair up to whatever dollar amount that you put in there is. So if you're saying 500, that will be the maximum. If the repair is going to cost $1,200, the maximum you're telling that the seller to spend is going to be $500, if that's what you put on there. So just be aware of that, and that's pretty much it. Everybody initials, they initial that part, and that's it for that. So those would be the things you want to put on there. If if you're using your own title company, make sure you include the escrow agreement in there as well. Every other thing will be your disclosures that you get from the seller. So don't forget. So
Yeah.
really what you're doing when you're presenting, when I want to send this package to my client to sign is residential contract,
Hmm.
whatever kind of financing addendum that I'm using. If we're
Hmm.
doing an home inspection, we want to include the PIA, the property inspection addendum. Want to include an escrow agreement, um, and any other addendum that is necessary if you're doing seller contribution or any of those things. That's essentially what you're putting together in your package, as well as your disclosures from the
Hmm.
listing agent. And that's what you send away for them to sign.
Okay.
So
Um,
it's pretty straightforward now. Yeah, ask this.
EM,
This question.
EMD, where does that go? To the
The
title company?
EMD,
Yeah.
the earnest money deposit, that will go to the title company. We don't keep any earnest money deposit at EXP, and we will be using this form right here. Your escrow agreement is what you're going to be using.
Okay. Okay.
This is what you'll be using for that purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what you're going to be using for that purpose. Um, I will. I'm gonna let me ask questions away while I'm looking on my other computer to email you and anybody else that needs it the checklist for your contract checklist.
Okay. Um, so the seller's agent actually put together like a nice summary of everything they need and what they're looking for. And so all of that's already in the disclosures. So I'm trying to make sure, number one, I've read everything and that we package it up nicely. Um, and they had like their preferred like lender and title company and all that, but my client already has a lender, and it's been challenging to get her approved, so we're sticking with that lender. But I said, like, if we want to be nice and make this a sweeter deal, we can at least like go with their title company.
I mean, that's always a good thing. If they have their own title company they want to use and it's a sticking point and no one wants to budge, yeah, just use their title company. That's fine. You know.
And then the other thing is they're asking for the EMD to be submitted with the offer. So I would think that I'd just have her send me like a copy of the check and we'd attach that to our offer and then get it sent off as soon as it's accepted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sending you guys. I'm about to give you an email. I'm going to include the checklist.
Okay.
You're going to say Montgomery County on there. It doesn't matter. It's the same for
Okay.
Maryland. So it's just a matter of if you're using GCAR forms or if you're using MAR forms. So that's an easy part. I'm also going to include. I'm going to see if I can find you this. For everyone, anytime I send out a deal, I always use a buyer checklist. Also a buyer summary. Okay,
Hmm.
a buyer offer summary, because I just want my offer to stand out, to look different.
Hmm.
So I'm going to send. He has my he's on my letterhead. You
Okay.
guys are you can use this. All you gotta do is just cut off my letterhead or put your business card on where my letterhead is. I make a copy of that.
Okay.
Just make a copy of that. I don't think I'm trying to look right now. Yeah, there's nothing else that has my information on there. So yeah, let me read to you what it says. It says, "Dear agent, please see attached our client's offer on your beautiful listing. For ease and expediency, we have provided all pertinent and necessary information, and if any line is omitted, it was simply because it is not requested by our client by our client of yours. Thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to hearing from you and perhaps working with you for our mutual clients' benefits and success." So when you get this, change the wording. If you don't like it, do whatever you want to do with it. But this is something that I think if you include that with all of your offers as your very first page that they see,
Yeah.
it makes so much of a difference. Because what I do, I'm just going to call it Maryland checklist and offer page.
Hmm.
Because what I do is I like to receive offers the way I like to send them out. So it's a
Right.
lot easier. The first thing you want the opposing agent, or no opposing, the agent on the other side, the first thing you want them to see is something that is neat and organized, right?
Yep.
You want
Yep.
them to be able to see instantly without going into your deal. You want them to see what the offer price is, what the EMD is, who the lender is. You want them to see all those things that you're asking for closing and all that. And the moment they see that easily and a clear shot, their life is a whole lot easier. And they just say, you know what, I like that offer because it's clean. So that's the reason why I do that, you know.
Hmm.
So I've emailed it to you, all the three of you.
Okay.
Hopefully, you get that. Make whatever changes you need to make. Look on the checklist. The checklist will give you an idea of every single thing that you need. You can also get the checklist on the Trello board, but at least you have that. Make a copy of that, scan it, and put it on your template. Upload it into your template so you use it all the time. You know,
Yeah.
that way it's just so much easier for you.
Yep. I got your email. So very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other? I want to make sure I did not miss any other specific question that you have in writing this offer, though. I want to make sure I don't.
I don't think so. I'm not, I hate to say this, I'm not super confident because we can't go over a ton and we're at the top of the budget. The agent seems really easy to work with, which has been a surprise because that just hasn't been happening in these FHA properties.
Right.
Um, so I'm excited about that, but I don't know if our offer will be good enough. For the simple fact of what I know is happening in the marketplace. I did look at I did do a CMA for her, so she has that right now with all the comparables, and it was good because I actually have properties in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
One is pending and under contract, just went under contract a few weeks ago, and the others were sold. I think one in April and then two in February,
Okay.
for her to take a look at. And where it's listed at is just right. It's right in the middle. And so if we could go a little higher, I think we'd be in a better place. And so I have that question over to the lender right now. I'm dealing with like really limited funds. So I just don't know
Okay.
if we'll be able to do that. So that's kind of the like
So if
making sure my buyer understands the reality of where we are, but
okay.
also giving a good offer.
Okay, so a few things you can do to even make your offer look good, right? So, I mean, for example, if you already believe that your pricing is good, there's nothing else you can do about the pricing. If you already know that those things, it is what it is as far as those go, then you're not asking for any closing help, right?
No, no.
Okay. Um, you do know, I mean, you do know that your client they're going to get a part of their recordation tax forgiven and stuff like that. So, what else can your client possibly do to get their offer ratified? Oh, by the way, let me ask you this because I've been meaning to ask you. You check the property, right? And it is um, FHA.
Yes.
That condo is
Yeah.
FHA approved, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
I've double and triple checked that at this point.
Okay. Um, Give me the address of the property. I just want to look.
It's
How long has it been on the market?
it just went on yesterday or the day before.
Oh, okay.
30
And sorry,
it's
go on.
3045 Chester Grove.
3045.
Yeah, I wonder if I just yeah, okay, yeah. 3045 Chester Grove. It's in Upper Marlboro.
Okay. And they're listing for 200
Hmm.
and 1973 Westphalia Woods. And I'm trying to see if
Yeah,
it.
it's not listed in the MLS,
No,
but
it is. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
no, the FHA stuff is not.
Okay, okay, okay.
I've called the agent and I've asked the lender and we found it on HUD.
It's a two-bedroom, one bath for 200. Okay. I mean, I don't see why this should be a problem. It's been on the market for about 4 days. Yeah. So, okay. So one of the things, you can,
Oh, it has a tenant. It has a tenant in it until July 31st, but my client is okay with that.
there you go. So one of the things you want to highlight in your offer summary is we are absolutely, okay with accommodating the seller's needs for the tenant to stay there. Something like that that'll make them feel that okay, these people are also very good to work with. And like you said, call the agent. You've spoken to the agent. You know, be top of mind on the agent's mind, and just be friends with this agent. I think is a woman, right?
Yep.
Victoria, yeah. Just be, be friendly with her, and that goes a long way. So I don't think. What is it that you guys are trying to offer on this?
That's where I think that's where I don't feel that confident is like our max is 200. So I don't think we're going to be able to go much over
Okay,
the asking price.
okay. So highlight the things that is positive. We're offering you, and you're not asking for closing help, right?
Mm-mm.
So in your summary, you say we're giving you, we're coming in at list price with no closing help whatsoever, and I'm looking forward to making this happen. And we will even accommodate your seller to let the tenant stay there till they're able to move out on the 31st of July. You know, don't dwell on the negative, just highlight those.
Yep.
Because the other thing is, other people that might want to write an offer might not want to wait till that long. Other people might that want, and
Hmm.
the fact that someone might want to come in at 220 or 230 on this deal does not mean they'll get it because the agent pricing it the way they did, and this, the analysis that you've done is saying that the agent could be like, you know what, if someone comes to me at 215, 220, and I know he's probably not going to appraise for that, what's the
Hmm.
point
Right.
taking that offer,
Right.
right? So you have that going for you. So it's not always just about everybody wanting to offer more, because don't
Yeah.
forget also people that want to buy in this kind of a price point, they're conscious of the price and of their
Hmm.
budget, and the seller is aware of that. So except you have someone who absolutely is saying, we're going to give you 20 grand in cash over and we have it and we don't care about appraisal or anything. Other than that, I think you're good. I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've answered my other questions because my other questions were just around like how I make sure that they know it's subject to the inspection. So I've got that. I'll put those pieces in and make sure she initials where she wants those inspections. And then the financing piece is in the appraisal piece is in that financing addendum where we would say it can't appraise for less than what we're
Correct.
offering. So I
Correct.
feel good about that. I wanted to make sure I had those two things covered.
Correct. And another thing to say, to be aware of this is this, because this is a condo, tell your client, don't get hung up on the roof, because
Mhm.
typically, double check it, but typically in a condo, the roof is the responsibility of the HOA.
So one thing that's come up that my client has asked me, and I'm just really not sure, is with FHA rules if we're going to have a problem on this condo because they converted the garage to additional living space, like a room.
That would that that doesn't have a bearing on your loan.
Yeah. So my thought is if for some reason it is an issue and they said you had to convert it back, that would fall under that subject to the $500 and they'd have to figure that out.
Oh no, that would fall under
The
the
seller.
seller cannot sell their property if they don't fix
Right.
that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, if they're in compliance with the HOA and the condo, that would be the biggest thing. If
Right.
they are in compliance that they can do what they did, you're fine. The issue you may have is if it doesn't have proper ventilation, the FHA appraiser might be. So what you might have is they might turn around and say they need to correct things like ventilation or whatever the case is,
Okay.
depending
And
on those notes. Yeah.
it does have vents running into it,
Okay.
the HVAC. So hopefully they did that right.
Yeah, as long as it's done right, you'll be fine. Now, your HOA fee is 351 or your condo fee is 351, and you can see it
Right.
includes the exterior building maintenance, insurance management, trash. I will verify with the listing agent that does that, and this might already be in their disclosures as well. That does that condition does that include the roof?
Okay.
Because typically it does, things like that would normally will include the roof. moving ready, new floor, blah, 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 great, doesn't connect to bonus room, sorry. Okay, yeah. So that'll be the only other thing just to be aware of, you know. But everything else, you know, if we're talking about the roof and the roof is covered, you know, just, you know, at least put your client's mind at rest, at ease, that something like that they shouldn't be too worried about if it's covered under that.
Okay.
Yeah, they just need to be more concerned about the interior because that's really under condo rules. That's really what they are responsible for. You
Right.
own you own the interior, not the exterior.
Yeah. Got it.
Yep. Dr. Bola, how you doing? Have you any questions? I think David dropped off.
Wow, I mean, this has been very, very enlightening. Thank you so much.
No worries.
You know, I'm not licensed in Maryland yet, but I have learned a lot. Did you hear what I said? I said yet.
Yes, go for it. Absolutely. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
Hey, I'm not
okay.
licensed yet in Virginia either, so
There you
Got it.
go. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Let's make it
Awesome.
happen.
Yes. Was yeah, so thank you. I do have two questions though,
Sure.
not relating to what you have already shared with us.
That's fine.
Um,
Bonus
uh,
time.
I know that, you know, the very first question is Googleable, but I don't want to Google it.
Don't worry. Ask the
Or
question.
unless you want me.
We have all of us are experts here. We don't need Google. We,
uh, So because I mean, there's so much information out there. I just want to kind of like go with the best, you know, of the best at what you've used in the past. One area that I am still struggling with is identifying the, or I guess calculating rent or mortgage. So, for example, if someone comes to me and says, I can only afford to pay 1,500 a month,
okay.
how much would they be able to, how much mortgage would they be able to afford? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like how much, you know, yeah, like what would they be able to afford? What would be their loan, you know, amounts based on whatever, you know, the current interest rate or whatever the case may be. So
Right.
I'm still struggling with how to kind of like I know there's so many calculators out there. I just don't know which one is accurate that you know I can use for that. And also, if someone is currently renting, and their rent is a certain amount, what would that translate to in like the affordability for a loan, like a
Right.
mortgage loan? So that's one area I'm still struggling with.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty easy. For
Okay.
full disclosure, that answer or that question is best answered by a loan officer.
Yeah. But
And the
before you
reason why I
get to
said that, yeah, the reason why I
okay.
said that is because, you know, I mean, there's, like you say, there's affordability and there's also um, the reality of is it that you cannot afford it or you choose not to afford it? Because the real answer to that will be when a loan officer looks at that person's totality of what their income is, what they qualify for based on their debt to income ratio, right? However, the way we can answer that question as realtors is this. Um, I always use, you know, my lender's mortgage calculator. So
Okay.
I don't use anything super fancy. So whatever lender you partner with, you can use. I have one right here. The lender I partner with, one of my best lenders is Erin Johnson, and
Okay.
she has this app that I can just go in there and calculate. I can give you the answer to that question, but
Okay.
you know, you can if you want to get technical and you want to try and do it, then you use the app. You can do an
Okay.
FHA on there. You can do a conventional loan. You can do
Oh
all of
wow.
that, right?
Okay.
And all you do is just punch the numbers in there, and then you can move it around. You slide it, and it tells you, where they need to be.
Okay.
But just as a realtor, looking at okay, if someone's paying $1,500 a month in rent,
Mhm.
and they say
Mhm.
I want to keep the same amount for
Mhm.
my mortgage,
Mhm.
then a few things can happen. One, how much do they have saved up? Two, how much money are they willing to put down?
Mhm.
Because you might want to buy a $500,000 home and say to me your payment cannot be more than 1,500, And I'll say to you, yes. I'm never going to say to you, no. I'll say to you, yes, that's possible. But there's a follow up question to that. Are you willing to put $300,000 down? You see how I
Okay.
flip that? Because it's a case of I'm never going to say to you you can't afford or that you cannot be paying 1,500. The question is to get to that number. There are certain things that has to move. If you're saying to me, I'm never going to move on the payment of $1,500 a month, but I want to buy a house for $1 million, we don't have to
Mm-hmm.
move from the payment, but we're going to have to move either on how much money you're willing to put down or how much house you're willing to buy, right?
Sure.
So those are the biggest things there. But to get to that number, to even have an idea of what you qualify for, the lender
Mm-hmm.
is always the answer to that. Because it depends on how much money that person wants to put down. Depends, it depends on those factors. Because what I wouldn't want you to, and what I don't want to fall into is this. Instantly, when what is it that agents do? If I come to you and I say I want to only pay $1,500 a month, most agents will laugh at you or walk away and say, "You must be looking at $150,000 house, right?" But you could
Yeah.
insult me the moment you say that to me because I don't know your situation. I don't know if that person,
Correct.
I don't know if the only reason they're saying they don't want to pay more than $1,500 is because they've planned their life so well that they said that if I'm paying more than $1,500 a month on my mortgage, it means I'm extending myself to a place I don't want to be comfortable at.
Mm-hmm.
But I have $300,000 saved up that I want to put down. I don't know that. So you got to ask those questions. So instead of just being like, no, it's not possible, be like, yeah, we can figure out a way to get there, but there are other moving parts that we need to think about, right? So that's why I always say refer them to and defer to a loan officer. Um,
Okay.
so that's one thing. There's another thing that you could do that your loan officers do for you. Then they tell you, rent versus mortgage. How do I make that person who says, to the second part of your question, they only pay $1,500 and they're like so set on, I don't want to pay more, that's all I can afford. Then you got to
Mm-hmm.
show them the value of owning versus renting. I understand you're comfortable with $1,500 a month. I understand it's convenient, it's easy because it's a small amount that you can manage and you've been doing that for the last 10 years or however many years. However, what you're doing by paying them $1,500 is you're making your landlord wealthy. You have no tax shelter. You cannot deduct that rent in your taxes. So that's the reason I'm saying you probably want to think about purchasing as opposed to continued renting. That's how you flip that conversation. Because when you begin to, and I also say to the client like this, it might not be that convenient or that easy to pay exactly 1,500, but if you're willing to stretch a little bit more, you have a better chance of building wealth and legacy for yourself and your family by buying. Because now you can start deducting your taxes when you file your taxes, the interest on your taxes when you file your taxes, because now you own, right?
Sure.
Those will be the kind of pictures and conversations that I will have with them to move them from thinking that they're doing well by only paying $1,500 in rent to moving to owning, right? Or you can even say to the client, well, you don't have to go and buy a $300,000 home if truly all you can afford is $1,500, right? Let's see if
Correct.
we can find you a nice condo that it doesn't have a high condo fees. Let's see if we can find you a townhouse, because if you're paying $1,500 right now, you're either living
Mm-hmm.
in a one bedroom, maybe a two-bedroom apartment or townhouse or something, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So we don't need to move you from that townhouse to a single family home. Let's keep it still townhouse or wherever same kind of setup that you live in. But at least you now own a home. You have the bundle of rights that is provided to you. You can build a legacy. You can live in a home that is yours. You can enjoy your quiet. You can have your own party. You can do whatever you want to do without thinking of a neighbor or someone saying that because you rent, you're disturbing our peace and that becomes an issue, right? You can also
Wow.
begin to think about what you can deduct from your taxes because now you're paying interest on something that's appreciating in value, and that's how you can begin to build, build wealth. So that would be the kind of conversations that I would have with them. But for the ultimate factual deal, I want to definitely make sure I get them connected to a lender first to answer that, technical.
Yeah. I guess the issue I've been having is that how do I put it? I feel, yeah, quite embarrassed, right? With the last three um yes clients I have referred to one of my lenders
Okay.
because they ended up not they're not ready pretty much.
Okay.
And I felt like, if I had kind of like had an idea of what they will be able to afford,
Okay.
perhaps I could have had a conversation with them before I introduced them to the lender.
Okay, and so that's very true, and that's a good thing. So what you just need to shift now, it becomes that's where your conversation starts. So anytime you have someone that is renting, I always like to, when I'm doing a buyer's consultation, one of the things I like to do is, okay, I just met you and you're thinking about buying. So what my first
Mm-hmm.
conversation to you is, how much are you paying right now in rent?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we had
What are
that.
you willing to pay to own your own home?
Exactly. We had that. Mm-hmm.
And let them tell me. So what did they tell you when you asked them those questions?
It was 150. I mean, 1,500 rather, 1,500. But then I didn't know exactly what that would translate to in a loan.
Okay, I can give you an idea right now that based on this current market, if they want to pay 1,500,
Yeah.
you really, if you do an FHA loan, you're limited to maybe $1,500 a month. You are looking at probably about 140 or $150,000.
Which is like a matchbox in
Yeah.
Virginia.
So just to tell you, I'm gonna move this slide at 150, at $150,000, that's 1,086, putting down 3.5% on a 30-year
Mm-hmm.
loan with an
Mm-hmm.
interest rate of 4%. Okay, now that'll be $1,000. If they want to pay now, the conversation is going to change a little bit here, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So technically, for your client to be paying, I'm gonna do exact 1,500. For our clients to be paying exactly, it's hard for me to move it. Okay, so we're just gonna
Oh,
for
oh, go ahead.
okay for my client to be paying $1,520, they need to be financing $210,000. But this is where the
Mm-hmm.
conversation shifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's putting down 3.5%. So the next question is this: how much money, if they're doing the 3.5%, do they have the 3.5% to put down? And number two, do they have approximately 4% of that 200 and some $1,000 as well for their closing cost? Right? Because you and I know
Sure.
that we're in a market that nobody is paying your closing cost. So if your
Yeah.
client is saying, yeah, 1,500 is all I want to pay, then we need to understand the fact that they're gonna need, they can be in a $210,000 home, but they will need approximately, so
And Jimmy, that's no association fees, right?
yeah, that's just basically, actually, yeah, that's basically saying at the 4% interest rate, taxes under $3,000, the annual insurance, MIP, all of those, about $2,100, no HOA, like you said. So that's where you're talking about. So to be at that 1,500 now, you see how that 210 is coming down a little bit now. It's no longer 210 now. It's probably around $200,000. But also, your client is going to need to have approximately about, give or take, about $18,000-$20,000 that they're putting down.
Yeah, but they are all of these clients actually are first-time home buyers.
Okay.
And they will qualify as first-time home buyers, and they will be able to get the assistance from Virginia on
Okay.
housing.
Okay.
And I think that would also, they don't have to come up with the down payment.
Okay. But they will have to come up with the closing cost.
That will be covered as well.
Virginia is covering the closing costs as well?
Closing cost assistance. Even the closing cost is a grant that is forgiven.
Okay.
Upon closing. Mm-hmm.
Then if that's the case, then they should be able to get a $210,000, $220,000, $240,000 home. Because if they're not coming out of pocket and all of those are being paid for them, yeah, their mortgage will probably be about $1,600 at a $230,000 loan. So what's the reason why they couldn't get it? You couldn't find a property for them?
No, actually, it's not like I couldn't find a It's not like I couldn't find a property. The lender just told me this is how much they will be able to qualify for. But I mean, in our market here in Virginia, can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that because another call was coming in. In the market here, a $200,000 home or okay, so the lender told me between $150,000 and $200,000.
Correct.
And I said, ouch, what can you possibly get for $150,000 to $200,000, in Virginia? Probably nothing really.
There's nothing. It's not even just Virginia. This is the reality. So I understand the frustration. I understand what you're saying, but this is where the reality is in the sense that you really wouldn't. There's really not going to be anything out there. Because let's look at it.
I can tell you, I play in this market all day long because most of my people are first-time home buyers without a lot of money. And it's condos. You can find them. You can find them in Maryland specifically, not Virginia, but you can find them in Maryland. There are properties that are 100,000 to 200,000, but the kicker is most of them are condos or townhomes, and the association fees are anywhere from $300 to like $800 a month.
A month.
So you're not in this $1,500 price range. You're in a $1,700 or $1,800 price range because of the condo fees.
Correct, and that's what kicks them out because now you got to think about what your HOA fees and your condo fees are going to really, really get you. So the houses are there.
Yeah, and so Jimmy, that's why I started thinking that perhaps it would be nice for me to kind of like have an idea of what they will be able to afford so that I can manage their expectations before I even introduce them to the lender.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I understand. So again, what I just did here is I put it in there on Prince William County and Prince George's County, and you can do all that and see what comes up. Up to $200,000 and some $1,000, and you're gonna see them. They all, if you can see my screen right now, you're gonna see all the things that's going. Not a whole lot of these properties are in Virginia, as you can see. Not a whole lot of them, But just like Maria said, you will find those properties. The question is, will your client love them? Will they want to live in them? Number one. Number two, because of that condo fee, they get kicked out of where they want to be comfortable to pay. That's the other issue because condo fees are higher and they will kick the client out of that $1,500 range. So,
yeah, and the other piece is FHA is really, really hard. Conventional is going to be better if you can get them approved conventional, just because it opens up more opportunity, more home.
And it makes it a lot easier for you when you do a conventional loan to be able to find them a condo or a townhome because as long as they're not delinquent past a certain, I'm talking about the association or the community, past a certain percentage, they'll be able to do a conventional loan. A lot of them don't qualify on the HA because of the delinquency rate. So that's another challenge you're going to have. But to answer your question, that how do you answer or how do you get them taken care of? It's a totality of all the things that we've been talking about. So you can get them qualified, but the issue becomes, oh, what are they going to be able to find? Are they willing to go into those things? And how much more is it going to kick them out? Virginia is going to be tough for you to find any of those things. And then the other part of the question to the conversation to have is, are you willing to live in such and such a property? Are you willing to pay more than what this is? Yes, they're gonna give you all this other money, but are you willing to do anything? Put maybe something, a little bit of something down if you have it, so that you can get something a little bit bigger. But it's a tough thing. So but the range of where you're gonna be if you want 1,500 is gonna be that 150 to $200,000. But
Okay.
they're gonna have to factor in that HOA fee and that condo fee. And that's what
Okay.
could change that conversation very easily.
Okay. Okay. All right.
You
So
But yeah,
that's
Dr.
my
Bola, what area are you in?
Prince
Um,
William.
okay.
Yeah, I'm in Prince
there's
William.
nothing cheap in Prince William,
No.
Nothing.
you know.
And
So
even yeah, I mean, I was telling one of them that they should probably consider Stafford County, moving into Fredericksburg or even Culpeper.
exactly, no, they
But
need to move further out. Yes.
yeah, but that would be way too far for the husband. And it's not compromised. It does not want to compromise because it would be on the road for about an hour and a half to 2 hours
So the question,
going.
because this is the thing, Dr. Bola, you cannot solve every single problem. So they're going to
Correct.
have to decide what is more important to them. Because
Sure.
the only way to change that will be you have to have a plan as well. Because don't forget, the one reason why they're limited to that number is because of it could be maybe debt to income ratio, it could be income, whatever it is, right? So
Sure.
the conversation will be, let's have a 2-year goal or 3-year goal or 4-year goal or 5-year goal. What are the stepping stones and things that we need to establish right now to get you to the next level, right? So if the husband, for example, is not willing to travel that far because it's too far for them,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
but they
It's fun.
need the peace of mind and a good home life, all these other wonderful things that will allow them to be able to get to their next stage in life, then they will
Sure.
have to decide to make a compromise. So one way I will say to any client to look at that compromise will be this. Okay, we want to live close to where we're working right now. Maybe instead of getting a 2-bedroom, if I don't know if you're finding 2 bedrooms or what you're finding for that price range, then maybe we just got to go for a 1-bedroom for right now, and go in and do this till we're able to build some kind of equity. Maybe change our work situation for more income or whatever, and then in 2 years, depending on, because they're getting a grant as well, right? Depending on what that loan says. If the loan says they have to live in the house for 3 years, that's another thing. So, question they have to answer is, can I compromise for the next 3 years to be in this property, build some kind of equity, and then move out in 3 years and rent this property out? So that becomes another income, so that in 3 years, hopefully their income will be a lot higher. Hopefully things will be, a lot less stressful. Now they can rent that property out, maybe even making more from rental of that property than what their mortgage is. And then they can use that property as an additional income to be able to spring forth to get a bigger house that is a little bit
Sure.
more expensive but they can afford.
Sure.
So it's all about, all we can do is just present them different options and let them mull it over and see what works for them or what compromises they're willing to, to make to get to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's never really an easy answer to any of these things, but it's all about what we're willing to sacrifice and give up and do to make it happen.
And the other aspect or the other part of this question is, right now I'm targeting renters And again, if someone is paying about 23 between 2300 and 2500 for rent
Right.
rent, what would that translate to
So
in
two
loan?
things. Two things
Okay.
real quick that I'm gonna say. If you're gonna target renters, it's best for you to always target renters that are paying over 21, 22, $2,300.
Okay.
That's always
Mm-hmm.
better. If you when you're talking about 23, 24, $2,500, your
Mm-hmm.
client are able to now start buying around the 360, 370, 380 mark.
Okay. Okay.
They're able to now start getting to that. Anytime you have someone paying a $2,600 payment is round about 365, 370.
Okay.
Yeah, give or take. And now, if you get a VA buyer, that could even open up more room for them because it's all 100%. VA pays everything. So yeah, but that is generally the idea. $2,600, you in the threes. If
Okay.
anything under $1,800, you're still teetering around that 200, 220, 230. You
I
know,
see. I
yeah.
see. Okay.
Because you always want
Perfect.
to create cushion and room. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so
What about
much.
what about the people that I know we're ready to go? Like I've had a couple renters too. So Dr. Bola, I'm in the same boat. And I have a client who I know is qualified to buy, but they're
Okay.
on a short-term assignment. So they don't really want to
Mm,
buy, but short term is 2 years. So that to me is not short term. That is
Right.
you can buy and make good money on the property potentially.
Yep.
So I don't know how to help them. I don't know how to convert them because they just don't want to buy because this is not the area they're going to be forever. And I get that, but how do I help them see the temporary gain that they can get?
So what I'll pitch to them will be one, your tax write-off. You can get all that money back through your all the interest that you pay. You can get that back. You can leverage that to limit your tax exposure, if you will. That would be the first thing you want to say to them to appeal to them. Because right now you cannot every single dime that they're paying in rent, they can never ever get that back or leverage that towards their taxes. So if they're making a good significant amount of money, and they're renting and paying this, they're just throwing money out the window. They're making someone else rich. That'll be the first thing that I'll hone in on to let them understand. The other thing I'll hone in on is listen, if you do understand and believe that the American economy is built on the back of, real estate. The real estate is driving force for the American economy. And use the example of COVID. Use the example of when we were all in the lockdown in 2020, right? The federal government was not getting any income tax because a lot of people were laid off, right?
correct.
Retail was not doing so well because nobody was spending, so you're getting taxes from there. What was the one thing that they kept pumping money into? Real estate taxes.
Mhm.
People are buying and selling. Real estate tax is as sure and as guaranteed as you breathe in or breathe out air. Renters were being given some kind of moratorium to help the landlord because you always will get that real property tax. You're always going to get that. So that is one sure thing that you're not going to lose. So what I'm going to recommend to you is this. If you believe in the fact that real estate is the one thing that helps the American economy, invest in it now, ma'am, sir. If you can afford the payment, invest in real estate. So that even when two years come by, which will come like that real quick, and you have to move out of this area, you can rent that property out and you're going to continue to collect income. You can depreciate your value. There's so many tax benefits that you can get from that. I'm not a tax advisor. Speak to to a tax consultant, but they'll let you know. There's so many ways that you can leverage that. Do you understand that even in real estate, that's one asset, especially when you're renting it, that you can super depreciate it if you're losing money on it. So there's so much benefit that you can get by owning real estate. Just as much as you believe that it's a short-term thing that you're going to be moving out of this environment, what if in 2 years you don't? What if in 2 years you get a better job? What if you fall in love with this area? Now you don't have to keep renting. You can stay. You don't have to sell your house. Oh, by the way, I'm talking about you can rent it in 2 years if you have to move. What if in 2 years, begin, look at what's just happened in the last 3 years in the real estate.
Double.
What if your valuation is gone up and now you can sell it and you can cash in $150,000?
Mhm.
Wouldn't you take that? Though, so you gotta show them the things that may happen, that could happen based on the trend of what has happened. And that becomes what they can use to educate them, because that's really all we all need. One thing about us human beings is this: we want some kind of validation. And if I can prove it to you by data, if I can tell you the reason why this is a good idea, you always will do it. Or at least really mull it over and decide for yourself if it's the right thing to do or not.
Mhm.
So that'll be what my recommendation is. Those will be the two most important things that I'll talk about. The fit,
Got it.
but, owning a piece of the American dream. There's enormous tax benefits to it. There's a fact that you can get, there's capital gains that you can get out of it. There's a peace of mind that, I mean, even when you're repairing stuff in your home, you can, there's valuation that you can get. There's the value, there's an inherent value built into that will help you, whether it's about your taxes, whether it's about what you can depreciate, or whether what you can, gain value out of by simply doing those things because you own home. As a renter, I can't. If I sign a rental agreement and my landlord says my deductible is $250 if there's a repair that needs to be done, I can't file my taxes and say I spent $250 for that I pay as my deductible. I can't. Just the same way I can't file my taxes and say I want to, get my $500 deductible back on my car insurance because I had an accident and I had to fix something. I can't do that. But I pay for it every year. But there's no benefit to that, right? There's a benefit that I'm not breaking the law. All of those benefits are there, but there's no financial benefit to it. I can't tell my CPA and say, hey, guess what? I had to pay $1,000 for my deductible because someone dinged my vehicle. So make sure you can get that back from me on taxes. It's going to laugh me to scorn, right? So it's the same way if I'm renting. I can't deduct any of that. He's going to tell me, you want to be able to do that? Go buy real estate. So we just got to show people the reason why it's a good idea to do that.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Not a problem.
Not sure if time will permit, if we have the time to address my second question.
No.
All right. So international buyers. I have, one of my college friends, sent me an email overnight, pretty much asking to assist with acquiring a property here.
All right, Maria, that's cool.
Oh, okay. Good night, Maria. Has been living in the Middle East for the past.
Let me stop our recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.